Hey everyone, it's Taryn with the Remote Yogi. I'm excited today to bring to you a really simple practice that is going to be perfect for beginners who are just starting their yoga journey and they're looking to have some consistency with the practice. Now, if you're beginning with yoga, I always suggest maybe finding a local class where they're doing an introductory course or something where you can go in and learn all the different basics. But I'm going to walk you through a series you can do at home today that you can practice consistently wherever you're at, and it's really easy. The other cool thing about this practice is you can make it as long or as short, as hard or as easy as you'd like. We're going to be going through some different Sun Salutations, and they give you a really awesome option on how many you want to do and how long you want to do it and how much you want to do for your body. So join me on your mat. I'm going to walk you through these practices, and then you can take the sequence home and do it whenever you'd like. I also have some downloadable PDFs that you can print out, so you've got the paper version right out in front of you, so you don't have to watch this video every morning as you learn your practice. So join me on the mat. We're just going to start nice and seated, so meet you there. Okay, so starting seated, you don't have to start seated every day. You can start standing, ready to do your Sun Salutations. You can start kneeling, or you can even kind of start this in bed as you get ready. The only thing I would suggest is kind of getting your head set in the right space and making sure your breathing is slow and consistent through the nostrils. So I like to take the time at the beginning of my practice to maybe sit here in an easy pose, whatever is comfortable for you. You don't have to sit with your knees crossed like this. You can sit, however it's comfortable, even up on a bunch of pillows or blankets. Just take a moment to kind of get cozy, even standing, and focus on slowing everything down. Maybe allow your eyes to close and start taking each inhale and exhale through the nostrils. The goal here is to try to make each breath longer than the one before it, and maybe even louder than the one before it. So trying to make this audible breath in and out through the nose. And as we start to find our breath, we can start to quiet the mind as well. I like to picture my thoughts like a cloud that I can blow away on my exhale and just kind of come to this quiet space. So you can spend as long as you'd like here if you want to take a few moments of breathing, maybe take a quick meditation, or you can just give yourself a quick, okay, let's get in the right mindset and get going. But whatever you do, I just suggest that you find that space before you begin yoga, because yoga is not just about the body, right? It's also about this kind of mind, body, soul, spirit connection. So getting settled in, I'm just gonna come up onto hands and knees real fast. This is not part of the Sun Salutation sequence, but it's one of those poses that's just so fun in the morning. It's called cat-cow. So I'm coming to a tabletop position. I'm on my hands and knees. The knees are directly underneath my hips, feet right back behind me. And with the feet, you have an option to either keep your feet flat on the mat like this or even tuck the toes. Just see which one feels more stable to you. And hands can either be directly underneath the shoulders or slightly wider than the shoulders. Fingertips spread super wide here, and we'll press the full palm into the mat. Awesome, so my back's nice and flat. To find cow pose, we'll inhale, lift the tailbone up towards the sky, lift the chest forward, lift the head high. Awesome, so cow pose. On an exhale, we'll tuck the pelvis under, pull the belly button in, roll the head down for cat pose. Awesome, coming back, inhaling, lifting up to cow pose. Really think about extending that chest forward. And as we exhale, rounding down, pull the belly up. Think of a Halloween cat. Keep going a few of these. Now you can also add motion in the morning to whatever feels good. I kind of like to take my cat-cow side to side or even around in a circle here. Just kind of finding some playful movement. Now, other practices that can be done to kind of get the body warmed up gently before we begin sun salutations. Simple things like shoulder rolls, maybe arm circles, maybe like just leaning the hips side to side or the chest side to side. You can even roll the head back and forth. Maybe just pull the head side to side really gently. So these are all kind of great warm-ups. You can kind of play around, research some of my other sequences to see what kind of warm-up you'd like. But just give yourself a quick moment to kind of get in the headspace before we jump into sun salutations. Now, sun salutations start standing, so go ahead and meet me at the top of our mat. I'm going to be walking you through 2 different sun salutations today. The reason I'm doing this is because each sun salutation can be done as few as 1 time or up to 5, maybe 10 times if you're feeling really ambitious. So it kind of helps you to have a practice that can be consistent. So we can do 1 sun salutation A in the morning and that's it when we're busy, or we can do 5 rounds of both A and B. You've got plenty of options. So I'll teach you both of those today. Starting all the way up at the front of our mat, let's find Tadasana mountain pose. So you've got your feet either together, feet are like just under the hips or maybe a little bit wider. But wherever you're at, we've got the feet pointed forward. So we don't have the toes pointed out or in. Straight lines with the feet, kind of making an equal sign with the feet here. And we'll tuck the pelvis under, press the feet firmly into the ground, pull that belly button in, lift the shoulders up by your ears and then drop them back down behind your back, pulling the shoulder blades together. Arms can be out by our side, either palms forward like this, maybe palms facing each other, or hands to heart center. Wherever you want to start, we find mountain pose. This is the beginning of both sequences. As we press the feet into the ground, we lift the top of the head towards the sky. So it's this kind of connection from heaven and earth here in mountain pose. So find the pose, find your breath, make sure everything's aligned here. And the sun salutations are going to move with the breath. That's why we keep that breath nice and slow here. So follow me, we'll inhale, reach the hands up towards the sky. As we exhale, we fold forward. Now you can bend the knees a little bit here to let the body drop without causing a hamstring issue. If you can't reach the ground yet at home and you've got yoga blocks, maybe put these underneath the hands or maybe grab a coffee table for balance. Just letting everything fall down, that's on an exhale. On the inhale, we'll walk the hands up the legs, maybe find this flat back. So noticing I'm rounded here in the forward fold. In the flat back, I'm pressing the tailbone back behind me, lifting that chest forward, looking forward. So we're here on the inhale. Again, you can bend the knees nice and deep here if you need to make sure you've got that chest lifted forward. As we exhale, this is where it gets a little tricky. So hands are gonna come to both sides of the feet, and we step it back to the top of a push-up. So you can step or eventually maybe hop the feet back. We're at the top of a push-up or a plank pose here. Hands are underneath the shoulders. Feet are about hip distance apart. And we'll lower down onto belly. This is all on an exhale. So options here, you can drop to the knees and gently lower down, or you can stay up, challenge yourself, elbows stay tucked in as we lower down onto the belly. And again, we have 2 options here on the inhale. We can keep those elbows tucked in, lift the chest for Cobra Pose. Now we can come up as high as we like to here, or we can stay nice and low. All depends on spine flexibility, and neither one is right, wrong, or better, wherever you're at today. So these Cobra Pose, the other option would be to lift up into upward facing dog. So you've got a little bit more spine flexibility, a little more strength in the arms. We can fully lift our upper body off the mat, so only the tops of the feet and the hands are on the mat. And again, we're lifting the chest forward, elbows are tucked in by the side, and we're not jutting our chins up like this, but everything's tucked in and aligned. Awesome, so we're here in Cobra Pose or upward facing dog, inhale. As we exhale, lowering back down, tuck your toes like you're going to press back up into the top of a push-up, but we'll lift all the way to downward dog. So that tailbone's gonna reach high up towards the sky. Awesome, and we'll hold this for 5 full breaths. So if you need to find a little movement, especially in your first downward dog, you can walk out the feet by maybe bending one knee, then the other, pressing the opposite heel towards the ground. You can also lean the hips side to side. That's my favorite. It feels really nice. And when we find some stillness, we'll find our alignment by making sure that the hands are again spread nice and wide, fingertips spread. We're lifting that tailbone up towards the sky, so if we need to bend the knees a little bit to get that tailbone to arch, that's okay. Head is dropped and relaxed. We might be looking up at our belly button. And feet are about hip distance apart here. Eventually we might be able to pull those heels closer towards the ground, but no stress, no need to be there today. When we finish our 5 breaths, we make our way back up to our flat back. So walking or hopping or stepping to the front of our mat here, we find the flat back as we press the tailbone back behind us, lift the head forward. Exhale, releasing back to the forward fold, head drops heavy. Inhale as we reach the hands back up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. So we walked it through nice and slow that first time. Going to do it again, but this time flowing with my breath. So at the top of our mat, inhale, reach the hands up overhead. Exhale, fold forward, letting the head drop down. Inhale, lift to the flat back, pressing tailbone behind you. Exhale, top and bottom of the push-up here. Make sure those elbows stay tucked in, controlled. Inhale for Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now we hold here again, 5 breaths. If you need to find movement, that's okay. Also, if this is too intense, we can always drop to a resting pose here. So we've got the option to lower down to child's pose if you'd like. Dropping to the knees, bringing the knees as wide as the mat, big toes together, sitting back onto the heels and letting the forehead come. This is a great place to be if you need to rest. If not, we're still back up in that downward facing dog. And at the end of our 5 breaths, we'll look between the hands, walk, step, or hop to the front of the mat. Inhale to find that flat back. Exhale, folding forward, letting head fall. And inhale, reaching back up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Awesome, so that's Sun Salutation A. That's going to be the best practice, especially for beginners, just walking through that sequence. You might not be doing it with the breath right away. It might take a little bit more time to get in and out of each pose as you're starting out. That's okay, take your time with it. That just gives you a nice sequence to follow along to. That's really beginner level and helps you to find kind of that flow and feel for yoga. Now we're gonna hop into Sun Salutation B, which is going to offer a little bit of extra. We're doing things on each side. We're doing some warrior practices, and it's a little bit longer of a sequence. So sometimes if I know I've only got 5 minutes to spare in the morning, I'll do a quick warm up, do a couple rounds of these, and I feel like my body's nice and energized and flowing for the day. So starting back the same way we were before, top of our mat here. And again, you can download these DVDs or the PDFs. You can download the PDFs if you'd like to follow the printable sequences at home. So starting here, back at our Tadasana, we've got feet together, feet about hip distance apart. Nice line with the toes here. As we inhale this time, let's reach the hands up overhead as we sink into a chair pose. So we're dropping our seat down, knees forward. Arms are up by the ears, so they're not out in front like this. Try to pull them up by the ears, but shoulders are still dropped down and back. Awesome, so just checking alignment here. We don't want to press our seat way back like this, chest forward. We kind of want to tuck that pelvis underneath a little bit, pull the belly button in, chair pose. On that exhale, just like Sun Salutation A, we drop down, let the head relax. Inhale, lifting to a flat back as we walk the hands up the legs, press the tailbone back behind us. Exhale, hands come to both sides of the feet, just like the other Sun Salutation. We're lowering down to the bottom of the push-up, again, using knees as needed. Inhale, we lift up to Cobra Pose, elbows stay tucked in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now we don't hold it this time. We take 1 breath to exhale here. On the inhale, right foot's gonna step up in between the hands, and I know it might take a few steps to get there. That's okay. That left foot's gonna slightly step out to the side, making a 45-degree angle with that back foot. Front knee stays nice and bent here as we lift up warrior 1. So checking our alignment here. Back leg's nice and straight. We're pressing to that back heel. Front knee is stacked on top of the ankle, and it's not pressing in or out like this. We've got that knee straight out in front of us. We're actively trying to pull this left hip forward as we pull the right hip back, squaring our hips to the front of the mat. And hands can stay on the hips if it's too intense for your shoulders. If not, we reach hands overhead, arms by the ears, shoulder blades pulled down and back. Warrior one. So we're here for one breath. We inhale, lift up, and as we exhale, we fold back down, top and bottom of a push-up. A lot more arm work in this one. Inhale, lifting up, Cobra Pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift that tailbone high. Fingers are spread wide. Inhale, left side as we step that left foot forward. Finding our warrior on the other side. So for warrior one, again, we've got this alignment. That back foot's at a 45. And our feet are not in a line. They're stepped a little bit apart. This allows that back hip to rotate forward. Chest is open center. Hands are on the hips, our hands are high. Either way, shoulder blades are down away from the ears. As we exhale, hands lower down, both sides of the feet, step it back. Top and bottom of the push-up, called Chaturanga. As we inhale, lifting up, Cobra Pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now is when we hold for 5 breaths, or feel free to drop down to a child's pose, take a quick break. So especially when you're new to the practice, having a consistent breath can be really difficult. So I really enjoy in a long held downward facing dog to take deep inhales through the nose, but exhale sighing out through the mouth. Reminding the body everything's okay, we can relax here, everything's gonna be fine. Taking our time as on the inhale we walk our way back to a flat back, looking forward. Exhale, dropping the head, flowing down. Inhale, back to that chair pose. As we reach the hands overhead, we sit back, lift the chest open, and exhale, hands to heart center, back to the top. So that's Sun Salutation B. I'm gonna flow through it one more time with the breath so we can see the way the body moves. I'm also going to do a little bit more advanced level. So from the Chaturanga push-up, I'm going to immediately push up to upward facing dog without lowering my belly to the floor, just so you can see kind of the transition that you might take as you start to build this practice every day, and you start to build that chest and arm strength. So all the way back to the front of our mats here, we find that Tadasana Pose. Maybe take a breath. On the inhale, reaching the hands up overhead. Exhale, folding forward, letting the head fall down. Inhale as we lift to a flat back, look forward. Exhale, hands drop to both sides of the feet. Step it back to the top of the push-up. Lower down, elbows stay tucked in. Inhale, lifting to upward facing dog or Cobra Pose. Exhale, downward facing dog, tailbone high. Inhale, right foot steps forward, warrior one, reach those hands high. Exhale, Chaturanga, top and bottom of the push-up. Inhale for upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, we take it to the left side, warrior one. Reach those hands high, hips are straight. Exhale, top and bottom of the push-up. Inhale, up, lift that chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. We hold here for 5 breaths. Again, checking alignment. Fingers are spread wide. We're fully pressing the palm into the mat. We've got that tailbone lifted. Again, you can bend the knees, especially as we're starting out here. Head is dropped. Big breaths. On your next inhale, look in between the hands. Walk, hop, or step to the front of the mat. Look forward. Exhale, drop it down, forward fold. Inhale as we sit back in a chair pose, hands reach high. Exhale. Coming up to Samasthiti. Hands are here at heart center. Good work. So you can do any kind of combination of that in the morning. You can commit to 1 Sun Salutation A in morning, as long as you get that one done, feeling great. You can do a few of each. You can switch it up. You do one day, one the next day. I just taught you both because those are really awesome principles to kind of establish your poses each morning, kind of get you in the flow of what yoga is and how it can be incorporated every day. But then we always want to cool down, give ourselves a moment of rest. So we're going to drop back down onto our mats, coming to a seat here. And I like to end with a little bit of twisting, especially after doing Sun Salutations. We don't really have any twists. We get a little bit of elevation of the back and the spine through the flow. but not really any twisting action. So I like to come all the way down onto my back. And there's a few different options for your twists. So you can bring both knees into the chest, maybe rock a little side to side before we twist. It feels really good. And then we can bring the arms out to the side, palms flat, letting the shoulders rest on the mat here. And we'll drop both knees over to the right side. You can hold here for as long as you'd like. You can make it a quick little flow. If you want a little more intensity, you can look back at your left fingertips. It's going to help you have a deeper twist. And then we might take it to the other side, dropping both knees to the left. And gaze can look at left fingertips for less intensity, or back at the right hand for more intensity, just kind of sinking in here, breathing. Awesome, coming all the way back to center, I'll show you another version of twisting that I really enjoy. Keeping the right leg flat on the mat, I can bring this left knee into my chest and then gently pull the left knee across to the right side, kind of rolling up on the right hip. Again, that back arm can reach back if it feels good. This is another nice variation of twisting. Again, we can do this on the other side. And my goal here is to still keep the shoulder blades on the ground if possible. Awesome, and then anytime we do any kind of twisting, we always want to end our practice coming back to center and doing a pose that is kind of centered here and not one side over the other. So quick, easy child's pose. This is going to be a nice hip opener here, and it just feels really great on low back. So bringing the feet up high like you're going to walk on the ceiling, feet are flexed. I'm going to reach up and I've got options. I can grab the outsides of the feet, I can grab the big toes, or I can even grab the ankles here if it's hard for me to reach feet. I'm just going to actively pull the knees as wide as I can and down towards my armpits. So making this nice wide stance here, and maybe rock it side to side, getting an extra massage on the spine. Beautiful, I'm releasing here. We'll come into our Savasana, laying flat on our backs, letting the arms come down by our side, palms up, letting the shoulder blades drop back, letting the toes fall out. It's called corpse pose. We lay here like a dead man and just let our bodies heal from the practice, let our bodies sink in to the floor. And if this isn't comfortable, especially if you have some low back pain, this might not feel good, you've got some other options to find rest at the end of practice. So you can keep the feet flat on the mat like this and let the heels drop in and rest on each other. This helps press low back into the mat. You can stay right here. Another option is if you've got a couch nearby or maybe a chair, you can always bring the shins to a chair and kind of relax like this. Feels really good having some support underneath the shins or underneath the calves. Or we can bring our legs to a wall just like this, and that might help if you've got some low back pain. Either way, I encourage you to at least Savasana for about a minute at the end of your practice. It's just great for the body to find a moment of relaxation, to heal from any kind of movement we were doing, even small movement. We want to finish with that practice. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that it gave you some great pointers on how to start adding some yoga to your morning routine or maybe to your evening. Yoga can be done throughout the day, any time of day, but at least this gives you some principles to add in that you can be consistent with, adding as much or as little as you'd like. So don't forget to grab those PDFs on the website, and we'll see you again soon.